Yes, good evening, students. So today we are going to start with something new. First of all, before starting, you will be trying to identify who this personality is. So he is saying that I wrote the national anthem for India. Yes, and he was born in Calcutta, a freedom fighter. He was a freedom fighter, and you will be telling me who he is. It is easy to guess, right? Yes, so he is none other than Rabindranath Tagore, right? Who has written the national anthem of India, who was born in Kolkata, and he was a freedom fighter and he was very famous personality. So we'll be discussing more about his work and what was his life about. Yes, little biography details. Yes, so it is about the poet, that is young Tagore. We'll be learning about that. So he was born on 7th May 1861. So Rabindranath Tagore was born on 7th May 1861. The place of birth is Kolkata. Then the father's name is Debendranath Tagore and mother's name is Sarada Devi. The mother name is Sarada Devi. And the grandfather's name is Dwarka Nath Tagore. His first school was Oriental Seminary. His first school was Oriental Seminary, and second school was Normal School, and the third school he has read in it is Bengal Academy, and the fourth school that he had learned things in was Saint Xavier School. The occupation that is holding is poet, dramatist, writer, and painter. So he is holding many occupations, that is poet, dramatist, writer, and painter. Awarded title, he is holding the title of Guru Dev. Right? The awards are Nobel Prize for Literature. He is holding the award that is for Nobel Prize for Literature. And that, if we talk about the death, then he has died on 7th August. The date is same. 7th May is his birth date. 7th August is his death date. And the year in which he was born on was 1861, while the year he died on was 1941. So I hope you will be remembering these facts about the great personality that is Rabindranath Tagore. I'll give you a few seconds to read it again. Yes, 10 seconds will be given to you to read it carefully again, so that you will be clear about it and you will remember these details about the poet. Yes, so we will be moving forward now. I hope you have read these details again. Yes, so what are these different occupations that you see in front of you? Can you name them? You'll try to name them in the chat box, in the comment section below. That what do they do? Doctor, teacher, builder, fisherman, farmer, accountant. What does the doctor do? Yes, so a doctor treats the patients who are having any disease or who are unwell or who are ill. And teacher, just like I am a teacher, I am teaching you something. So a teacher teaches the learners basically who are there to learn. And if you talk about a builder, the builder builds things like a building. The builder will be building something. And if you talk about fisherman will be catching fishes, right? And if you talk about farmer will be plowing in the field, doing cultivation in the field. So that is the work of the farmer. Collecting the seeds, storing the seeds, that was the work, that was different works done by the farmer, right? And if you talk about the accountant will be handling the accounts, basically the financial accounts will be handled by an accountant. So these are the different occupations and different works that are done by these different occupations. So we will be moving forward with the title of the poem which is we going to discuss today, that we are going to recite today, that is Vocation. The title of the poem is Vocation. We'll be starting with it, but before that we'll be checking your understanding with what we have discussed till now. So what title was given to Rabindranath Tagore? Yes, it is quite easy as we have just discussed this now. Yes, so the title that was given to Rabindranath Tagore was Gurudev. Gurudev was the title that was given to Rabindranath Tagore. And the second question is, how many schools have Tagore changed in his lifetime? So there were different schools. The options are 1, 2, 3 or 4. So we know that we have just read that Rabindranath Tagore has studied in 4 schools basically. Yes, so the answer to this question will be 4. Yes, we'll be starting with the poem now. Yes, so I'll recite the poem and you'll be listening. So when the gong sounds 10 in the morning and I walk to school by a lane, every day I meet the hawker crying bangles, pistol bangles. There is nothing to hurry him on. There is no road he must take, no place he must go to, no time when he must come home. I wish I were a hawker, spending my day in the road crying bangles, crystal bangles. When at 4 in the afternoon I come back from the school, I can see through the gate of that house the gardener digging the ground. He does what he likes with his spade. He's So he soils his clothes with dust. Nobody takes him to task. If he gets baked in the sun or gets wet, I wish I were a gardener digging away at the garden with nobody to stop me from digging. Just as it gets dark in the evening and my mother sends me to bed, I can see through my open window the watchman walking up and down. So we'll be discussing about this poem now, this stanza. Sorry for this. So now the poet is saying when the gong sounds 10 in the morning, when it is 10 o'clock in the morning and he walks to school by the lane. So every day he meet hawker crying bangles, kisser bangles. So hawker is someone who is having uh, this podium from on which different things are there which he wants to sell. So he will be crying out loud to sell those things. Bangles, crystal bangles, or vegetable hawkers are also there. So different hawkers are also there who are roaming in different colonies. So there is nothing to hurry him on. So he is not under any pressure. He moves with his pace. There is no road he must take. He can move randomly. No place he must go to. He has no destination destined that where he should be going. He is just roaming around freely. Wherever he finds a customer, he will stop there. So no time when he must come home. So there is no standard time where he must be coming home. So I wish I were a hawker spending my day in the road crying bangles, crystal bangles. So the poet is wishing that he wanted to become a hawker. He wanted to spend his day in the road, roaming around freely without any care and crying basically, shouting or loudly singing their songs like bangles, crystal bangles. The hawkers say that they speak in loud voice to let others know that they are coming, but they are bringing with them. So that is what the poet also wants to do. So when at 4 in the afternoon I come back from the school, when the poet comes back from the school in the afternoon at 4, he can see that the gate of the gardener of the house, the gardener digging the ground. So the gardener is digging the ground at 4 in the afternoon. So the gardener does whatever he likes with his spade. He soils his clothes, but just like he was the poet is a child at that time. So just like kids dirty their clothes, but their mothers scold them. But gardener can dirty his clothes, but nobody will say anything to the gardener. So in the same way, the poet is envying that thing about the gardener as well, that he wants to do the things just like gardener is doing without getting scolded. So he can gets the dust on his clothes with nobody takes him to task. If he gets baked in the sun, if he's doing something in the sun, nobody will say anything to him. But when the poet will do it, he will be getting scolded by his mother. So I wish I were a gardener digging away at the garden with nobody to stop me from digging. So just as it gets dark, so when it gets dark in the evening and his mother sends him to the bed, but he can see through the open window the watchman who was still walking up and down in the building or around the building. So he also wanted to be like the guard, be like the watchman, to move freely in the night as well, and not just he did not wanted to go to bed, because his mother always says that to him that it is evening and he should go to bed. So he's envying the different occupations of different people. He is looking at the different times of the day basically. So I have described the word. Gong is the sound that is made by the clock when the clock reaches an completes an hour. That sound that the pendulum made, that is the gong sound, right? And the other words, you can also write the different difficult words in the comment section, so we can, so I can answer them. So one of them is hawker, which I have just told that what they do. They'll be selling things with that platform. They'll be, which will be having four wheels in it, and they'll be keeping the stuff on it, and they'll be crying out loud bangers, crystal bangers, or vegetables names that they will be selling. Let the other people know, let everyone know that they are selling something, and what they are selling, what price it is of. So that is what a hawker does. There is other thing that I can find is, so digging is when we are making a hole in the soil, basically in the ground, with the help of a spade is an instrument which is used to dig the soil. So that is what it means. Say spade is just an equipment for digging the soil. Yes, so this is all about it. That was the difficult words in the stanzas. Yes, so to continue, so the lane is dark and lonely, and the street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in its head. The watchman swings his lantern and walks with his shadow at his side, and never once goes to bed in his life. I wish I were a watchman walking the street all night, chasing the shadows with my lantern. Yes, so what is the poet saying? That the lane is dark and lonely. The lane where the watchman is walking is dark and lonely, and the street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in the head. So he is talking about the street lamp that is there, standing tall and having a red light, like that light that the street lamp is emitting. He is calling it as red eye in its head. The watchman swings his lantern. Lantern is basically the light that the watchman is holding, like, and the swings means when someone is moving like this with his hand, swinging movement, that is to and fro movement, basically swinging, and walks with his shadow at his side, because the lantern is in one side, the shadow will be in the other. So that is what the poet is saying. And never once go to bed in his life, because the job of a watchman is to work in the night, so he never once goes to bed in his life in the night. I wish I were a watchman walking the street all night, chasing the shadows with my lantern. So chasing means to follow someone, because he is following his shadow all night with the lantern in his hand. So that is what the poet is envious of here. Chasing means to follow. I have also already discussed the word that were difficult in the stanzas. So I'll give you 20 seconds to recite this poem as you are looking at it. Yes, vocation. You will be reciting this poem once by yourself. Yes, try to do that. Yes, so I'll move forward. Must have recited this now. Yes, you can do this part as well. I will be moving forward in more 20 seconds. Yes, so we'll be moving forward now. You must have recited this. Now you'll try to find different literary device that must be there in the poem. Yes, I'll be moving backward here. Yes, try to find different literary devices. Yes. So when we see here, we can see repetition, right? Here, I wish I were a hawker. A wish were. You can see repetition here, right? I wish I were here also. In the next stanza as well, I wish I were is also there again. I wish I were again, right? So we can see repetition here. Here again we see like a giant. So when we say like a giant, we are using the literary device that is simile. So simile is the one repetition, one literary device that is being used, and the other is the repetition as well. And then here, if you see here, yes, the gardener digging the ground. So the it is getting repeated. Through the gate of that house, the gardener digging the ground, right? So we can say the this sign is repeated. So the similar sounding words are there. That is repetition is also there, alliteration is also there, and simile is also there. And there is one more, that is gong sound. So this gong sound, we'll be discussing about this, the new literary device that we have just seen. That is, the first was simile. It is a poetic device involving the comparison of one thing with another thing of a different kind. For example, the street lamp stand like a giant with one red eye in its head. In this line, the street lamp is compared with giant with the help of using like. And if you talk about the repetition, which we have seen, that I wish I were a, this is the repetition. It is the repetition of certain words and phrases for poetic effect. In the poem, many words and phrases have been repeated. So that is the example which we have also identified. So alliteration, then the next is alliteration. It is the occurrence of the same sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. For example, the gate, the gardener digging the ground. He does what he likes with his spade. He soils his clothes. Nobody takes him to task. So these are the alliteration where similar sounding words are there. They are connected, closely connected words in a sentence basically. So then the next one, that is the new poetic device that is being used is, what do we call it? Onomatopoeia. So onomatopoeia, it is the formation of a word from a sound associated with it. Just like the gong sound, it produces the gong sound, and the name is also the same, that is gong, right? So the word gong is formed by the sound associated with it. So we'll be moving forward now. We have discussed about the different poetic devices that were there in the poem. Now, what is the rhyming scheme of the poem? Now, have you noticed, is there any rhyming scheme of the poem? Basically, what a rhyming scheme is, it is basically the ending sound of the poem, different words in the poem. If it is sounding similar or not, there is any pattern of sounds. Lane, bangles. Home, bangles. School, ground. So we can see that it is freehand. There is no rhyming scheme, right? Yes, so there is no rhyming scheme in this poem. You will be giving example of each poetic device, simile, alliteration, and onomatopoeia. You will be giving examples of these sound, these poetic devices basically. Hint is also given to you, like by the use of like, the sound that is made, and the sound is equal to the name that is associated with it basically. Similar sounding words will come under which one? And we'll be making the comparison by using the like, and sound is associated with the name. I have given you different hints. You will be able to write the sentences. You will be giving the example of these poetic devices easily now. You can write your responses in the chat box, or we can say the comment box. given below. Yes, very good students. You have done well. So I am as brave as lion. I am brave like a lion. That is a good sentence. So alliteration is, yes, very good. You have given a good example for alliteration as well. Yes, he held his hands. He held his head with his hands. So he held his head with his hands. That is alliteration. Good example. Then onomatopoeia. The gong sound is being produced by the pendulum of clock. Yes, very good. Yes, so this is what a hawker looks like. Yes, we have already seen it. You must have already seen it. Yes, as well, as you have already recited the poem in the previous, so we'll be skipping that. We have already recited the poem. Yes, you will be differentiated between these two occupations basically. Yes, now you'll be able to see clearly. Let me do a little bit setting. Yes. Yes. Now, how will you differentiate between a hawker and an officer? Do you think you will be differentiating between their jobs and the respect they should be getting according to their jobs? Yes. So we can say that every job is equal because it takes efforts and energy to do every job. Every job should be respected in its own way, right? Because the task is difficult for everyone. Every job needs efforts and different requirements are there to do every job, right? So we can say that we can say they are equal and they should all be respected in their own ways. Yes, very good students. Yes, now you will check your understanding now. Yes, now the child wants to become what and why? Yes, now what was this child who wanted to become what and what is the reason that he wanted to become that? He wanted to have that occupation. Yes. Yes, very good students. You are doing great. So the child wanted to become, first he wanted to become, yes, the hawker because he wanted to move freely and does not wanted to care about when he should be returning home. He should be having no directions, moving randomly. And then he wanted to become the gardener, wanted to dig everything wherever he wants to dig and wanted to have soil or dust on his clothes freely. And after that, he wanted to become a watchman. He wanted to move freely in the night and he did not wanted to go bed on time. He was envied of the watchman as well because he was roaming around in the night without any fear. So that is what he wanted to become. So we'll be moving forward now. Yes, so we'll be moving forward. Yes, now it is a quick recap. So we will be telling what is the meaning of vocation. Yes, very good students. It is defining the different occupations a person is having, right? Different persons are having different occupations. And the second question is, Rabindranath Tagore was born in which year? Yes, so you must remember this. I have given you time earlier as well to remember those facts about Rabindranath Tagore. Yes, so he was born on 7th May 1861. When was he born? He was born on 7th May 1861. An example of onomatopoeia, that was the sound that was being produced by the original sound and the same word associated with it. Gong sound basically we have discussed. And if I'll be wanting you to create a sentence from the word hawker. Yes. The hawker was crying out loud, bangles, crystal bangles. You will be giving your examples as well in the chat box. I'll be listening to that. After now, we should be discussing the homework. That you will be drawing the image of the occupation that you like and 10 lines on it. And you'll also do a survey in your neighborhood and make a list of different occupations which people follow. Yes, you will do a survey in your neighborhood and you'll make a list of different occupations which people follow. Yes, very good students. You've done well today. So we'll be meeting soon. Write your queries in the chat box, or we can say the comment section. I'll be reading to those and we'll be replying to those soon. Thank you so much for being a big support.